Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Asian Report. We'll be covering the ASX and India, and we'll also have a look at copper, and we'll also have a look at China and maybe Hong Kong. So with the ASX200 here, we're pretty much lining this up with the US markets, where we're having wave 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4, and then up for 5 here. So we're looking for 5 waves between wave 4 and wave 5 here, in terms of 1 and 2 in here, nice strong third wave here, a fourth wave in here, and then we're trying to count 5 waves up in here, and we're looking at that as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, even though the 4 overlapped here, and then wave 5 to the upside here. So let's go in and have a look at this and try and get some sort of understanding with this. So picking it up from this wave 4 here, we're looking at 1 and 2 and a nice strong third wave here, a fourth wave here, and then we were counting 5 waves up. So we had 1 and 2 and 3 here and 4 here. Bit of a problem with wave 4 because it overlaps wave 1 here. We could adjust that in terms of putting wave 4 over here and having wave 1 here and wave 2 here, and having it like this here, with little 1 and 2 in here, and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So that's a possibility, but we're still left with this structure here. So this is where we are at the moment. So our job is to count 5 waves from this wave 4 here to wave 5 here, and we've got our levels over here, so 1, 2 and 3 here. So we could consider this developing here as the first high above the level here. So what that means is that we can, if I can just bring this over here for a moment, we can look at this as, let's just say we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level here. So we can just see how far that goes here. We also know too that that number there, 6,230, the 30 is the top of subgroup 1. So if we develop support on top of that, a tested support, then we can go up to the 50 at that point. But if we don't and we start moving down here, then we'll have our setups along this side here to trade up into the next level here. So we're not going to miss anything. We just need to follow our rules. So tested support on top of 30 would be helpful to take us to the other further up. Otherwise we'll come back and then move up. But we'll have a closer look at all of this here by going into the hourly chart. But I also want to have a look at the cash market, because the cash market's a little bit clearer. I can count this. There's parts of this that I understand. I can see that this is wave 1 and little ABC here for wave 2 here. This doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, this little structure in here, but all the rest of this here, I can count that quite easily, but this here little structure in here doesn't gel with me. I just can't figure it out, what would be the best possibility. So when I find those sort of problems, then I look to the cash market, or I could even look at banks. I can look at resources as well. But in this case, we'll just take a look at, we'll pick wave 4 up from this little level here, and that's just here on the cash market. So with the cash market here, I'm just wondering if I can draw lines on this thing. So really this here, we would look at this as, whoops, that's not a pen. I thought it might have been a pen. I haven't really used this, so we'll just try this thing here. But basically, this works. So wave 1 here, and wave, whoops-a-daisy, and wave 2 into this space here. So this leaves us with this structure here. So with this structure, it looks like it's wave 1 and 2, and wave 3 up here coming back for wave 4 here, and then we'll have wave 5 up here. So then once we get that high in here, all of this, whoops-a-daisy, all of this here will be wave 3 to this point, and then we'll have wave 4 as such here. We'll have a wave, I can't draw on that side, but anyway, you get the sort of picture there. So we're still short a little bit. It would kind of look like, if I can just remove that for a moment. So we're looking for 5 waves, 1 and 2, and we haven't finished the third one on the cash market yet, but because we've traded in the US, we would have come pretty close to the top of that wave 3 here during those off sessions in the futures market. Okay, so this is where we are here. So we could really look at this here, if I can move this here, wave 3 here, wave 4 coming back here, and wave 5. So I think we've got that little move to the upside here to play out. just clean this up while we're here. So if you're long, you may have gotten out at the 6.2 area. If you haven't, then we can move our stop up into this little area through here, unless you want to hold through that wave 4, but day traders would probably want to get, you know, back into this after a correction here. So this needs, obviously the markets were, let me just check on the SPX here, the cash market. Yeah, so the market's closed higher at 0.7%. So, you know, we can expect our markets to move up. So we can expect here this market to move a bit higher with the banks as they open. But really it's about this 30 here. You know, will we find support on this level here? So the market will test it down here and so on. So sort of expect it to sort of sell off somewhat. And then that will leave us with this here. But Monday is normally part of Friday's bull sort of the bullish weekly cycle that I talk about. Leaves basically Friday, Thursday is the bearish day, Friday is the bullish day, Monday is the bullish day, and Tuesday would see it, Monday's bullish day, Tuesday would see profit taking in the morning and then pushing up again, and Wednesday is like a V-shaped day, down in the morning and up in the afternoon, and Thursday opens higher and then closes down for the day here. So we pretty much had all that last week, and it's kind of good to get your head around that. It's on the website. So yeah, we've still got this little move here. I have, yeah, I think I might leave it at that, but this is just another count that I've got. This is on 20 ticks, this one. So normally we'd work on 100 ticks. But on this chart here, I followed, I know it's all squashed up and it's very difficult to read, but we'll get there. From the Christmas low here, I've got this counted differently here, where I have 1 and 2 here, and then I have, if I can just open this up a little bit here, then I have 1 and 2 here, and then we've got nice strong third wave here, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the third wave, the fourth wave back here, and then from this green wave 4 here, it's kind of the same count, it's just a little bit different. So wave 1 and 2 here, nice strong third wave here, fourth wave here, and then looking at this little section here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here. So in this case here, I'm looking, I mean, this is a completely different count, but looking at blue wave 3 here and blue wave 4 here, and then looking for the ending of this structure as wave 1 and 2 here. And in this case here, I've looked at all of this as 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the third wave, ABC for the fourth, but it overlaps this one here, and then up for 1 here. So basically from wave 2 here, all of this is wave 1 and back for 2 here, and then all the way up here for wave 3 to this point, wave 4 to here, wave 5. So still looking for the top of this wave 3 and 4 and 5. The only other way to count this all in here is we know that this is a wave 4 of some degree, is by putting this over here, and then we would have an A wave, a B, a C, a D, and an E wave here, because this finishes in 3 waves. So this is the only other way that that can be counted at this stage. But on the cash market, that's different. If we go back to the cash market, it's quite different here. We can see that we've got a nice clear 1 here, A, B, and C for 2 here, or we could even take 1 to here, but either way, we're still left with 1 and 2 and 3. So we're still left with a wave to the upside there. So yeah, protect profits, and we're looking for a top early in the week. One thing that I do want to talk about is copper, because copper is has been one of the catalysts for pushing the markets higher with the US-China trade war going on. Let me find Let me find China. I haven't seen that for a while. Here we go. So China's moved up quite strongly here at the moment. The last time we were speaking about this, I think we were down in this area here somewhere, or I'm not quite sure, but we'd finished this structure to the downside. So we're looking for a move back up into the box here. So we're in this box here at the moment, and that's the 61.8% retracement level here at the 13,000 for this market. It does look rather impulsive, but even if it is impulsive, we will still see some sort of correction here if we're going to see any upside from that point. And the other point from here too is that we need to watch this. So in terms of the trading levels, we'll normally see the arrival, the reaction here, the first high above the level, and then we'll see some type of corrective pattern here. So if we see this here and then we see these tops taken out here, then we'll know China is strong at that point. So we need to allow it to play out here. And the copper market here, I'm just going to bring the Trading Levels charting program up because I use Just Data in Queensland for their data here, and this has got more data in it. This is the London copper here, and this is a monthly chart, so we're going back quite a long way here. So doesn't seem much because it's a monthly chart, but the Christmas run here is from the January here, has pushed this up here. So I really want to just talk about this a little bit in this space, because from 2016 here, this move up through here on the monthly chart is in 5 waves here in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So we've been looking for a correction to come back. It's only pulled down 50% and not 61.8%. So that's what I want to talk about. So we're just going to have a look at this little structure here on the daily chart here on this charting program here. So we can see from the low here, the 2016, we've got 1 and 2 and 5 waves up here for wave 3, 4 and 5 up here. I'm just calling it the A wave here. It could certainly be wave 1 as well. The retracement level from this low to this high here, take it on this high, because that's in 3 waves going up there, so it's part of a corrective pattern. So it comes down to the 50% retracement level. So that's kind of common where a market will come down to the 50%, and it can continue straight up, but normally it would hit the 50%, go back up and hit the 61.8%, and then come back down to this 61.8% here. So we may see copper move back down from here. We do have 5 waves up here in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So I'll just see how we go with this here. I haven't pulled this structure apart, so there certainly could be another little move up here. So we just need to see about that little dance at the top there. And as I talked about China being at 13,000, it's the same idea here as well. So we are expecting US markets and that to top and pull back. So we may see this follow this little 5-wave structure down here to the 61.8% here as an A and a B and a C. However, that said, if we do see that, if we do see a nice support on these levels here, then we'll be more bullish on that. But we do need to see this play out here. So we do need to see, we've got the arrival, we're just looking at the reaction now, and then there'll be the first high above the level. So we'll see something like this here. So we just need to wait for this here. This is really the stock supplies for copper have been low while there's been that trade sort of war sort of thing happening. But if that gets resolved, then we'll see those stockpiles come back into play again and send this market down here again as well. So this is kind of what's been driving BHP and Rio. They've both found good copper piles too in I think, well, Rio in WA, I think, and BHP over this side. So yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. So, and obviously Hong Kong is the same as well. And this is also interesting for Hong Kong here as well. It's just the 1 hour chart here, but we can see that, well, I've got wave 4 here, and we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and then we can see a nice third wave here with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, and then the fourth wave here. So this has still got another move to move up here. How far it goes up, I'm not quite sure. We'll have to count the waves, but yeah, we've still got some more bullish price action to occur here. So yeah, the ASX can certainly sort of move up from that point. And of course, we're going to move into India. I should have put India in front rather than doing all of that first. Let me find India. Okay, so with India, we're not triggered to go in anywhere yet. I'm just going to stay on the 1 hour chart. We know that the 11,000 here, just above that, is the 61.8% mark. We have a reversal from the top here. It does appear to be in 5 waves here, and if that's the case, then we would see a move back to this 61.8% here, or retest the 11,000 here, and it's done that. There is a little bit of concern here as this looks impulsive to the upside here, and an A and a B and a C wave here, so it's quite possible this top can be taken out here. We had this high here that we were working out to take a smaller position with that thin line rather than a thick line. We can actually bring that down to this high now because that's been rejected here, so we don't need that. Because that's been rejected, if we get another move back up here, that means it's got the demand in there, and it will chip away at the rest of that supply up through here and then move higher from that point. We weren't going to short this until we've got 10,800 here as the resistance here, because even if this was going to move up from here, we would still need this to be, if we take this low here and this one here, then we'd need to see this market break down under this level here, which is the 61.8% mark here, so give or take a little bit. And even if the market came down to the 800 here, it's certainly going to bounce back off this level here. And then we could also look at getting in a little bit earlier. If that's the case, we can move that up into this space if that's going to be the case at that stage. I don't want to get involved in this range here. We want a clear breach of that range so we can catch the next trend. So we just need to be patient while this plays out here. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.